Why does God allow pain and suffering? Part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll probably put a link somewhere up here so that you can watch part 1. But we're going to talk about a different aspect to this question. Typically when we think about this question, why does God allow pain and suffering, we look at it from a humanistic perspective. What I mean by that is we almost think that only humans, only we endure pain and suffering. But what we fail to realize is that God also feels pain. He also goes through suffering. And at that, he goes through even more suffering than we go through. Think of it this way. If you want to incur pain on a parent, right? What are you going to do? You're going to go out to their children, right? When the parent sees that their children is going through, so much pain and suffering, they're going to say, look, spare the child, take me instead, because it will be more painful for me to watch my child suffer than for me to suffer myself. Same thing with God. God is our Father, and we are His children. And so it pains Him more to see us go through agony and pain and suffering more than it does us. And not only that, but Jesus Himself came down in flesh and blood to relate to us more personally in our pain. He went through the same things that we went through in His life. Whether it's feeling rejected, whether it's feeling unloved, whether it's feeling lonely, whether it's feeling forsaken, whether it's feeling abandoned, whether it's feeling hurt and abused, anything that we go through in our life, He's gone through it Himself. Being hungry, being thirsty, being homeless, all these things Jesus went through Himself so that He can relate to us. And even more so, probably the most pain that He felt was when He was on the cross and He cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Think about it. For the first time in eternity, God the Father and God the Son has been separated. And God, Jesus, feels abandoned by God. He's going through all this pain, all this suffering, and he feels like God is not there. And sometimes we may go through the same thing. We going through our trials and tribulations, our pain, our suffering, our agonies, and we think that God is not there. And we cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me? But the reality is, God has never and will never leave us. He's always going to be there with us. And we see that because when Christ resurrected, the first place he went to was His Father, and His Father accepted Him with open arms. And He was like, you are my beloved Son, in whom I am very pleased. God never forsook Him. God was always there, even though it seemed like He wasn't. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14 through 16, it says, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to a throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So Jesus doesn't just relate to our pain and suffering. He's not just there with us when we're going through pain and suffering, but He also offers us help in time of need. And all we have to do is stretch out our hands to meet His, and He will help us, strengthen us, and be with us so that we can endure. Think on this.